I'm Mindy Peterson, host of Enhance Life with Music podcast, where we explore the ways music transforms everyday life. And this is Microhance, a microdose of musical enhancement. Today's micro episode was inspired by a listener. One in particular, but also many listeners, because the question this listener asked is similar to one of the questions I'm asked the most. I love hearing from listeners, whether it's a comment on a social media post, an email, or a comment on my website. Priyanka commented recently on a LinkedIn post for Micro 41. Micro 41 released at the 6-year mark of this podcast and was a quick look back at what I've learned after over 200 conversations about music. Priyanka commented, "Congratulations on 6 years and over 200 inspiring music conversations. It's amazing how consistently these exchanges reveal music's power, not just as an art form, but as a force for well-being, lifelong learning, and holistic growth. I'd love to hear more about which lesson has had the biggest impact on your own daily life and how listeners are applying these insights outside of music. For me, music has shaped the way I approach brain health and connection in both personal and teaching contexts. Looking forward to more wisdom and community as the podcast continues." First of all, thanks, Priyanka. I love this question. And it is similar to one of the questions I'm asked the most, which is, do I have a favorite episode, or is there an episode that I have found most impactful? As you can imagine, this is sort of like being asked to pick my favorite child, but I have noticed in the last 6 years that the conversations and episodes that really impact me and stick with me the most tend to fall into one of 3 categories. The first, powerful personal stories. Some of my guests have stories that hit me between the eyes, and I'll never forget them. These are individuals who have experienced incredible lows in life, and they've experienced firsthand the power of music in transforming their particular experience. Some that come to mind are Richard Casper, a young veteran whose life had spiraled out of control after a military experience, and also Tim Ringgold, who faced addiction challenges and the terminal and painful illness of an infant daughter. A second category is guests who have been part of my personal story. One of my early episodes was with the author of a 1999 book that I loved and referred back to and recommended to my piano students' parents. The book is Good Music, Brighter Children: Simple and Practical Ideas to Help Transform Your Child's Life Through the Power of Music by Charlene Habermeyer. It was such a treat to speak with Charlene about this book that had so touched and influenced my life. Side note, we stayed in touch after that conversation and had the chance to meet in person when I was in Charlene's state on vacation a few years later. Another guest and topic that hit close to home for me was Laurie Berkner. Laurie entered my life, unbeknownst to her at the time, through her music for kids when my own kiddos were very young, and we showed up to story time at the library, which included some music and movement. They played one of Laurie's songs. It was the Goldfish song, and I was hooked. There was not much out there at the time in way of kids' music that didn't drive parents crazy, and Laurie's music helped save my sanity during that stage of parenthood. My eventual podcast conversation with Laurie happened during the height of the pandemic. And during our conversation, she described music's stabilizing effect for children during uncertain times and serenaded her childhood fans, including my daughter, who were at the time graduating from high school, often virtually. Through the podcast, I later discovered the kiddo music of Stephanie Level and interviewed her on the show. She is also absolutely brilliant when it comes to creating delightful and functional kids' music. And I fervently wish she was old enough to have been making her music when my own kids were young. If you have any littles in your life, check out both Laurie and Stephanie's music immediately. The third category is guests who become part of my personal story. Often this is because they stay in touch, whether by email, on social media, or even meeting in person, like Charlene, if we find ourselves in the same city. Other guests have introduced me to a service or product that I fall in love with and becomes part of my personal story, such as Jenny Maxwell and the jam bars she created, or Psyche Louie, Eric Fisher, and Kevin Woods, who all introduced me in various ways to Brain FM, which I listen to every night before bed. The bigger takeaway for all of us is this. Just like me, your most meaningful experiences with music are likely to come from the ways it intersects with your personal story, whether that's through a song that carried you through a hard season, an artist who supported your parenting years, or a new discovery that simply makes your everyday life better. The power of music isn't only in the performance or the science, it's in the way it becomes woven into the fabric of who we are. I would love to hear your answer to Priyanka's question. How have you applied musical insights, either from this show or elsewhere, to your daily life? Or if you have a question of your own for me, let me know. You can always connect with me on email, mindy@mpetersonmusic.com, Facebook, Instagram, X, or LinkedIn. I'm Mindy Peterson, and I hope this inspires you to enhance your life with music.